frequency. We rise above, entrepreneurs of spirit and love. Feel the beat sets us free, living dreams eternally.
Welcome to the Spiritual Entrepreneur Frequency Podcast. We are so thrilled to be featuring spiritual leaders and coaches who are blending science and spirituality in powerful, impactful ways. Our guests share their unique methods to help elevate consciousness and guide people into their higher frequencies. This podcast is going to help our listeners learn how to tune into those higher frequencies through practical and science-backed spiritual tools. It's all about expanding consciousness, elevating your energy, and stepping into alignment with the life that you want to create. Through conversations and techniques like my own 4D visualization, we're helping people feel and embody their future selves. So I am so excited that you are here and enjoy the Glow Goddess Frequency Podcast.
Today, we're diving deep with Larisa Makuch, a transformational force in the world of mindset, mastery, and personal evolution. She's not just about helping you do more, she's here to help you be more. Larisa's a savvy, sought-after speaker, master results coach, educator, and author of Stop Procrastinating Your Life Away. Discover the secrets to more time, money, and freedom. With ruthless compassion, Larisa leads highly successful, motivated, conscious entrepreneurs through mental barriers and into unstoppable confidence, authenticity, and empowerment. Holding designations as a certified consultant with Bob Proctor and the Proctor Gallagher Institute, master results coach, master of timeline therapy, trainer, and institute head of neuro-linguistic programming and hypnotherapy, Larisa powerfully blends science and psychology to help you unlock your magic and become all you're capable of being, whether more passion or profit. Get ready for a conversation that will challenge the way you think about time, success, and what's truly possible. So buckle up, because you're about to learn how to stop procrastinating your life away and start unlocking the life you were meant to lead.
Larisa, can you share one pivotal moment in your journey that reshaped how you view spirituality?
That's such a great question. I think when I was younger, I grew up Ukrainian or Eastern Rite Catholic, so Ukrainian Catholic. And in my youth, I remember going to church, and there was always something that was really special about it. And there was this energy that I wanted to be in. My grandfather was a priest, and so when we went to visit him, we got extra church, and it was something I always enjoyed. But while there was a part of me that liked it, there was another part of me that was really in a state of dis-ease with the whole idea of being in that environment. And it was because of the cultural politics and because of the community. And I didn't really see a lot of people practicing what they preached in church. And so it seemed to be this mismatch. Like, I love the ideas and the philosophies, but it was very confusing to me as a young person. And I think young people are really, really observant. So as an adult, I indulged in personal growth and development. I still went to church here and there, but it wasn't really a priority. And spirituality really took a back seat. I'm like, I don't have time for this. I'm building my business. I'm working. I'm doing all these things. And it was great. However, when I stumbled on the world of Bob Proctor, I began studying with him, and then I became a consultant for his organization. And so it was really beautiful to be able to be in this proximity of this global influence in the world of manifestation. Like, he was featured in The Secret and has influenced over 500,000 people across the globe. And so he talked about spirituality in a very different way. And I remember it was the very first time I was truly receptive, because he talked about spirit, intellect, and the body, and how spirit has to flow to you and through you. And you really work from the inside out. And even though these seem like common sense things now, at that time, it was just this mind-blowing concept that I'd never looked at in such simple and accessible ways. And so I studied it because it was really interesting. And I remember the day Bob died. And I was sitting at my cottage, and there was something that came over me. And I just remember, like, in that day, in that moment, there was a moment where I felt so deeply connected to him specifically. And it was almost like I bonded with him in a way I'd never had. And that was before I even found out he had passed. And a few minutes later, I went and checked my email, and there was a message that he had passed away. And that was the moment, like, I truly, truly felt there was something spiritual that ignited within me. And from there, I gave myself permission to wholeheartedly explore this concept of spirituality, to really dive in and sink my teeth into it, because it really started to create a renewed journey for myself. And so that was that pivotal moment. But I think there was a lot of backstory that led up to it so I could get to a state of acceptance. And so often, I think spirituality is forced upon people, or attempted to be forced upon us by people that genuinely care about us, but they don't necessarily give us the space to accept it our own ways. And when I really started seeing the difference between religion versus spirituality, it was such a game changer, because it is accessible.
Wholeheartedly can agree with that statement. Absolutely. And how amazing that he touched you so much in life and in the afterlife. I mean, that's just such a special connection. I didn't know that. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. So how does your unique approach and how you help your clients kind of bridge that gap between science and spirituality?
hmm I really love the idea of having structure and flow, or this concept of science and spirituality. There's this concreteness and this fluidity to that idea. And I started my foundational approach to science and spirituality when I was working in a Pilates studio, actually. And I was there for over 10 years, and we took a very different approach to movement. It wasn't just like, let's do the exercises, let's do the repertoire, let's do what's in the book. And we learned what was in the book. We learned all the protocols to work with clients, but we took a very intuitive approach to our work. We had a very scientific and biomechanical approach, but there was a lot of times where what was in the book wasn't going to work, and we had to just use common sense to adapt things and to make them truly accessible to people. And that was, I was a teacher with privates and with classes. I started training instructors in the International Teacher Training Program and training staff. And I feel like that was a moment in time where it was really conditioned into me. It's this structure and flow, this science and spirit. We never used those words. These days, those are common words, but that was where I got those roots. And I took that into my business. And I think the more we truly start to understand in concrete terms what things are, it helps us comprehend something. One of the things Bob used to talk about is having faith-based in understanding. A lot of people are like, just have faith, just have faith. Well, blind faith is rooted in no substance. When you have a sense of understanding and comprehension in something, which often comes from science, and you can apply the spiritual principles in a much more easy and accessible and tangible way, right? When we look at the world of manifestation, and everyone's like, ooh, it's such woo-woo stuff. Well, now science proves it's real. It's all based on energy. We have these vibrational frequencies, and it sounds kind of crazy, but there's actual proof that's rooted in science. And so when we work with our clients, I always love bringing the scientific and the concrete aspects, but I really invite them to explore how it's working for them, how it's connecting to them on a physical level, on a spiritual level, on an emotional level, on an intellectual and mental level, and even from a vital perspective in the cells of their bodies and their organ systems. And when you start not just learning the work intellectually, but fully embodying it and connecting it to something bigger, connecting it to a higher, more spiritual place, I think there's real, true magic in that. And so at a high level, that's what we do. I take what I learned over there and I bring it over here. And I think that's something I've always done because you can learn so much. And I know, Selena, when we were talking previously, you mentioned your corporate career. And while there were things that you didn't necessarily want to be in anymore, you had some really great experiences that you were able to draw from to have this business and to grow your business, and some really fundamental skills that you did learn. And the more we take them with us, the more powerful we can be. But I think having that faith-based and understanding is crucial, right? I've been able to help clients achieve radical results. Like one woman, I had a 15-minute call with her. She was all over the place. And in 15 minutes, we worked some magic. And she went off and texted me hours later and said, I just enrolled 6 clients. I just signed 6 clients in an afternoon. She's like, I don't do that. That's like crazy results for me. I had another client. She's like, I don't have money. I don't even have the belief in myself. And she's like, I want a house. Like, I'm so scared to even admit that out loud. She was terrified that she wanted to own her own property. And she had zero resources or belief in herself that she could do it. A few months later, she was in her own place.
Wow.
That she owned. And I think when we start tuning into the energy and really giving ourselves the space and grace, we can create miracles. To have the clarity, to have the confidence, to have the conviction to move forward with authenticity, integrity, and grace.
Absolutely. And I feel like Bob was definitely one of those people who made it so accessible to everyone, where it didn't matter what your, religious faith was. It didn't matter what your educational level was. You could understand what he was saying. Like if you don't watch any of his videos, you can completely grasp the concepts, like within minutes. I mean, it's one of he definitely had a knack for that. So I feel like you have probably embodied some of that, which has helped you be so successful in your business. Can you talk a little bit more specifically about this method that you've created from his teachings?
Yeah. So I've studied Bob like a scientist. I think he's just a brilliant person. And I love how he makes these complex spiritual philosophies so simple. And so we have a 3-part framework that we work with. We really help clients gain clarity. And I think sometimes we think clarity is just knowing what you are, where you are, what you want, and how to get there. There's so much more depth. I think a lot of people miss the boat on clarity because they don't go deep enough. They have just enough clarity, and there are so many more little pieces of the pie that are crucial to actually see your dream turn into reality, to make sure that you are actually aligned with that which you seek. So clarity is the first step of our process. Confidence is the second. Once you're clear on where you are, where you want to go, what do you need to do so you can move forward with faith, with that inner confidence, and even stepping out and taking that courageous action. I think a lot of times people shy away from courageous action, but you can move forward when you're backed by something. And that's where the conviction comes in. That really is having the motivation, the juice, having something bigger than you move alongside you, move along with you, and help raise you up and fuel you forward. And when you have all 3 parts working together, we sometimes learn them and address them in individual pockets, but they really have to work together. And you've got to work them together with oh my gosh, there's a word. Commitment. The commitment word. The other C word, right? Like if you don't have commitment, you're lost. And I think so often we're committed for the first 5 minutes, or we're committed for a short period of time while it's convenient. But if you don't have that commitment and the clarity isn't there to keep you going, that conviction isn't there, you're just going to fall off the wagon and stay off instead of getting back on and continually moving forward.
Yeah, and that tends to keep people stuck or where they are, stagnant, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we've all fallen off the wagon. We all do. We're human. We're not greater than God. We are God. We are that fullest expression of ourselves. However, we just keep getting back up and keep moving. That's part of the human experience.
Right, right.
Feeling stuck, but you know you're meant for more? Let me just grab you for 30 seconds. Trust me, it will be worth it. Tap into your power with our free activation visualization, a guided journey designed to shift your consciousness, unlock your potential, and elevate your frequency. Led by your co-host Selena Pizarro, award-winning spiritual 4D quantum business coach, combined with sound therapy music produced with love by myself, Lauren, your co-host, and my partner Marcel, creators of Best Binaurals, with over 25 years of combined music and sound healing expertise. This isn't just meditation, it's a portal to real change. And because we know you've got big things to create, we're giving you free lifetime streaming access to our productivity and focus track, my personal go-to when I need to zone out and get seriously productive. Head to www.spiritualentrepreneur.frequency.com, fill out the quick form, and we'll send you an email to stream both instantly for free. Now it's time for you to continue the why behind the woo-woo. You're just one frequency shift away from your next breakthrough.
And I know when we spoke before, you mentioned a little bit about your NLP practice and what you called hypno timeline, right? That you go through it. No?
Timeline therapy, yeah, that's we'll see, and that's what we do.
Hypnosis process through the NLP. Is it through NLP or through hypnosis?
Yeah, so timeline therapy is a process. It's a modality that was developed by Dr. Chad James. And it's a process by which you go up in your timeline and, let's say, explore your past in ways that you may not have understood in the past. And it helps you accept some of the best of your past and bring it forward with you so you can truly move forward on a clean slate. And it's a process that's been truly magical. It's part of one of the tools I use with private clients. It's one of those processes it could take 5 minutes, it could take 30 minutes, depending on the person. But most people are pretty quick. Within 5-10 minutes, they can literally let go of limiting emotions, limiting beliefs, and just this heavy baggage that's been with them for years and even decades. So it's beautiful. We also use it to install a positive future. And I think, so I'm sure you see it with the entrepreneurs you work with. They have this goal and they're like motivated, but then all of a sudden they psych themselves out and they're focusing on everything that can go wrong. And you're saying, focus on what's good, but they're not seeing it, or they're not getting it. And that's another way we use it. So we use it to clear the past, and we do that therapeutically. And then we also use it to help install a positive future, which is so straightforward and so practical. And all you have to do is actually do it.
So is that something that you said in like 5 or 10 minutes, could we install like a new positive future on my timeline? Or is that something?
Yeah. So we'll do the positive future. It's going to take me longer to explain what we're doing than to do it. But what is something that you might have a little anxiety or apprehension about?
In the future, something I want to create?
Something that's, I'm going to use the word anxiety. I don't love using it, but what's something that you're a little bit anxious about? Very specifically. It can't just be a general thing. It's got to be something like really specific.
I used to have severe anxiety to the point where I had panic attacks being in public when I worked in corporate. If I was in a room filled with people, which a lot of times, we were, I remember a couple of times where I woke up in the ER because I had
Oh, wow.
right?
Yeah.
So I have and this was like going back at least more than a decade now, aging myself, but I've really worked on that within myself. So I have very personal, strong meditation and frequency activation practice that I do every morning. don't feel myself getting too anxious on a regular basis. I think if I ever do realize my anxiety levels going, then I bring in one of my breathing practices or movement,
Mhm.
practices. So, there's nothing that really sticks out. I will say though, when I look to big projects that I have in the future, there's what I would call hesitation that probably precedes maybe anxiety
Yeah.
around stepping into it. I have a vision for creating a retreat here in the mountains for spiritual entrepreneurs to come and explore their higher levels of frequency and energies in a group setting.
Yeah. Beautiful. And so
The hesitation around that is like there, where it's like that's such a big thing to create, and so I think maybe that's like where sometimes that kind of thing comes up.
yeah, and what anxiety ultimately is it's you making something up in the future that hasn't happened yet and looping it in your mind. So I'm going to use a couple of simple examples and then we'll go to the one you talked about. And so it could be like, I don't know how I'm going to pay this bill. I've got too many expenses and XYZ isn't happening yet. Okay. It could be something like, I have too much work. I have so much work to do. I'm going to be late picking my kids up from school. Maybe you're like, oh my gosh, my kid's going to be the last one at school again. Oh my God. And
Like, oh, my daughter's at college, so I probably could have named 5 things about anxiety around.
yeah, so it could be something as simple as that, like being on time somewhere. Um, it could be having a project done. And so in your case, it's maybe there is some hesitation. But what we need to do, if you want to demonstrate this, we need to be super specific, because you can't just be like, oh, it's a little, like, we have to be really specific what you're anxious or you're uncertain about. And it has to be very specific and contextualized, or it's just not going to work. So is it, I'll throw out a couple examples that have been typical, but with things like that, is it that nobody's going to register and
Yes, of course. Well, see, that's a ton of fee. It costs a lot of money to set it up. I don't have my own retreat space, so you're renting a space. You have to feed everyone. There's all these.
So is it that you're going to lose money, or is it that you're going to not have anyone register? So we want to get really specific about what the actual hesitation is.
Yeah, I think it's more not have anyone register.
Okay. And so when you have, how many people do you need to have registered for your like fears and discomfort to go away?
I'd say about 10.
Okay. And so when do you anticipate that they could come?
I've looked into it now.
So I'm gonna stop you. I'm gonna say, close your eyes and go into your heart. Go into your God space. And what's the first answer that comes to mind? When are you gonna have these 10?
Spring. So before wedding season here, which is like late March-ish, and it's kind of a nice time of year around here.
Okay. Let's go spring. So what I want you to do is close your eyes and float up above your timeline into the future to 10 minutes after you receive the 10th registration. Okay, so 10 minutes after you receive the 10th registration, and nod your head when you're there. Good. Look back towards now from that point in your timeline. And where is your hesitation?
Just getting started. Jeez, like just do it already. That's
okay. Is it gone? So, but was the hesitation part gone?
Looking back, yes.
Okay, so come back to now. So make sure you float back to now, because ecologically you don't want to stay in the future. Really important. Got to get back to now.
Okay.
Okay. So super simple. Takes like 10 seconds, but you have to do it. And every time that moment of hesitation comes up, you float forward, look back towards now, and boom.
It is very simple. Yes.
It's so simple, but
Great tool.
if you're not looking at a positive outcome, if you're not looking past the actual event occurring, it's not going to happen. If it's too general, you're going to have too many variables. So you've got to be really contextualized and know exactly what the thing is that you're pinpointing. And super, super simple. But as soon as you learn tools like this, then you can gain mastery over so many challenges that come up in your life.
Yeah, I could see how that would really help you embody the belief, right? Help you embody the newfound confidence, maybe, like we talked about. I love that. So being who you are and having your own thriving business, what would you say is essential for the modern female online business owner to have a thriving business?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, I'm going to go back to the structure with the flow. It's mindset and it's mechanics. So yes, you need the plan, you need the idea, you need all the infrastructure, but what drives it is your heart. And when you keep spirit in mind with everything you do, you can make a lot of mistakes and still succeed. When you have a spiritual, I'm going to use the word spiritual practice or a way to calm down so you can speed up, whether it's for spiritual purposes or whether it's just to calm your nervous system down so you can see the forest through the trees, because sometimes you're looking at this and you can't see anything, and you can't operate in a stressful state. Whatever that is, there needs to be moments where you take time to literally calm down so you can speed up, where you avoid and ignore everything else and focus highly intentionally on certain projects, highly intentionally on yourself, and keep having that balance, but that focused intentionality on spirit and structure, and keep both of them in check. And I think sometimes we might have this awesome morning routine. Like I do a beautiful practice with my clients. We have the morning magic sessions every single day to get ourselves in spirit. And my mornings are great. And then sometimes I notice by lunch, I'm like, wow, a lot of this day has happened. And if I don't do something deliberate to recalibrate, then I veer off the path and I get distracted. I'm not as effective. I'm not as in spirit or inspired. And so it's having those bigger moments, and it's also having small moments of recalibration throughout your day.
And that, I feel like, is really recalibrating your vibration so that the overall frequency of your day stays at a level where you want it to be, where you want it to be high, so you can bring in and attract what you want into your life. I love that. That sounds like it's so simple, yet it's so difficult sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, and I think so often, like, one of the challenges I find is sometimes we have this pressure to stay at this high vibe frequency. And sometimes you hold yourself back in a certain sense because you're trying to force it. You're trying to force a square peg in a round hole. But when you're like, ooh, I had a blip of really high frequency. Okay, and I'm going to go back down. Ooh, I had another cool blip. I'm going to appreciate that. And you really just start embodying that, and you allow your whole emotional experience to be what it is. You're fully present in your now, and things just start to work out. And I think high vibe isn't necessarily has to be up here. High vibe can have a little bit of fluctuation so that it can be sustainable.
Right. Sure. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's too much to maintain up here. Well, for most people, up here all of the time.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
Excellent. So if you could share one message that every listener could carry forward with them today, what would it be?
Keep moving forward in all that you do. Keep moving forward. One foot, the next foot, the next foot. You're just taking one step after the other. I've seen so many women shy away from their goals, from their dreams, from what's truly meant to be inside. And maybe they're just busy in their career. Maybe they're busy taking care of everyone else. Maybe they're doing what they think they should do and shoulding all over themselves, whatever that reason. You've got to keep moving forward and tuning into what's right for you. And it's not just keep moving forward to just get by to the end of the day. It's keep moving forward in the direction of your dreams. Get to know your dreams, get to know yourself truly, holistically, and authentically. And when you do, like, the world will open up for you.
Truly, yes. 100% wholeheartedly agree. So, Larisa, how can people get in touch with you and get into your world?
Yeah. I'm on social media. I'll make sure that we pass along the links to you. But I have a book. It's called the Stop Procrastinating book. So stop procrastinating your life away. Discover the secrets to more. Oh, let's get it here. More time, money, and freedom. So if anyone wants a downloadable copy, it's a nice read, but what's even more powerful is this is really a book about action. It's got so many tools and resources that you can actually do. If you actually do them, they will work to help you have a rich and fulfilling life. And so you can download a free copy of the book at stopprocrastinatingbook.com. And then you'll be connected to our world. You can get on our email list and just keep moving forward in all that you do.
Love that. I'm going to go download it right now. Well, thank you so much, Larisa. It's a pleasure having you on the Spiritual Entrepreneur Frequency podcast. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Excellent.